This is my review of the Amazing Digital Circus Last Act. If you don't want to get spoiled, leave. So I think I'm going to talk about what I liked about it and then what I didn't. First of all, the parts that I did like, I thought they did Jax's whole story very well. You know, with him kind of not having, well, that great of parents and, him kind of killing his mum, or at least thinking he did. And then him going into the circus and meeting Ribbit and him probably being trans or something like that. I thought they did that completely great, and the way he kind of deflects stuff and how we got to see all of his different like emotions, I guess, or versions of himself, and where he sees himself. It was all great and all, and seeing the Rabbit flashbacks and all, it was amazing. I also just liked the atmosphere and the shots they did, and I think everyone got a really good amount of screen time. And with Ragatha and Gangle and Zubul kind of talking to each other and all, and Kinger, and they made the Soma theory real with the brain scans, which I didn't think they were gonna make canon, but they did. So, and I quite like that part of it. We got to see the real versions of the cast, which is really cool. I liked when Kian comes back, and then he's in the void, which the void is the recycling bin, which is interesting. And it kind of shows us as him as the red dot from episode 8 when he was first created, and he's trying to get up to the internet or whatever, and you start to see the wee red dot grow legs and arms, kind of showing that he's like kind of becoming what he was always meant to be. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like that. Well, I'm not really, you know what I mean. Sorry, this video isn't very scripted, but I don't really care. So, he goes up and he tries to. He gets to a barrier, and he looks at the barrier, and he tries to drill through it, but it doesn't work because even though how much he goes and goes and goes, it using force won't work. So he looks at it, and he realizes that if you just put a little bit of pressure on it, it breaks open, which I love because it shows his thinking and how he kind of thinks outside the box. And even though he's going backwards, he's still getting progress, as an AI should. But then he goes into the internet, he searches the cast's human versions, and then he comes back to the circus, gives everyone like admin controls or whatever, and shows them what their human counterparts are doing in the real world, and it's really nice. Jax obviously abstracts, and I thought that whole scene where he's like, "Oh, I don't want to go, I don't want to go," and he's like, "You're making this so much more difficult." Like, that was sad, but it was nice him finally kind of like saying goodbye to Pomni. You know what I mean? And then he abstracts, and he's in this wee tent to keep him calm, and that's really nice, and I loved that. But that's really all I have to like. That's the parts I really liked. Now getting into the parts I didn't like. Now, I don't have that many things I didn't like, but these are the things that I did not like, or I just kind of wish were different. I think Kinger kind of didn't, like, I know I just said a lot of them had enough screen time, but I feel like Kinger didn't have that much screen time. I feel like he kind of took a back seat, which, like, he's really important at the beginning of the whole, like, brain scans and all this stuff, but, like, halfway through it and, like, by the ending, he's just kind of there, and it's like, okay. He doesn't really talk that much either. And I don't, like, I know he was very lore dumpy in episode 8, which, is why he probably didn't do that much in this episode. But I don't know, I feel like he could have done more, Kinger. And then, also, Where's Bubble? Bubble never even gets, like, named. He's just gone. I thought he was in the void of Kane. No, he's just gone. I don't know what happened to him. They never explain it. And then, like, the whole thing with, Jack's the abstraction. Now, I loved Jack's whole thing, but I'm very pissed off we didn't even get to see his abstraction. I think I understand what they're going for. It was like suicidal, which suicide is quick. It's out of nowhere. It's shocking. It's weird. It's out of nowhere, right? And it's quick, which is what happened there. It just cuts away to him abstracted. But I feel like they could have at least shown us kind of him starting to abstract instead of him just walking off and then, cutting to him being abstracted. But really, that's the only problems I had with it. Also, my theater experience was very nice. Everyone was quite calm and relaxed, and you got some oohs and ahs and whoas and all that stuff and claps. But everyone was very well mannered, and there was like 2 kids that were under the age of like 10, but really I couldn't really care. They were quite quiet. Actually, they weren't quite quiet. They were quiet, so I'm happy. I know some people were saying that their theater experience wasn't that good, which sucks. But mine was great. So, but yeah, no, that's really all I have to say about the movie. I know this wasn't very in depth, but I don't really do reviews that often. All I have to say is thank you, Glitch and Goose, and all the animators for making this brilliant story that I love and is one of my favorite shows ever. And I hope everyone else enjoyed the movie or the episode. And if you didn't, well, tell me why in the comments. Bye.